plicae circularis, plicae semilunaris, are the folds of Kirkering, the folds of Kirkering. So what we find is along the intestine, so in the very commencement of the duodenum, we see an absence of these circular folds. But as we progress along the duodenum, we see now going into jejunum and going into the ileum, these plicae circularis, or the folds of Kirkering. Alright? Right? These plicae circularis. And these have within them, they're permanent, and they have in them the submucosa. So the submucosa goes up into these folds. However, in the very distal ileum, they again disappear. So in the first part of the duodenum, the first 2.5 centimeters or so, you find an absence of these circular folds. Then we see them appearing very prominent all along the small intestine, but in the distal part, the very, very terminal end of the ileum, then they now disappear. Alright? So there we're seeing one of the plicae, and we'll look back in the duodenum a little later to find one of them. Alright. So we're now in the land of the ileum. And I've always loved the style of the ileum. One of my favorite colors is purple. And in the ileum we find all of these lymph nodules coming together to form what is referred to as Peyer's patch. Interestingly, these lymphoids are supposed to be really more associated with the lamina propria. These lymph nodules are more lymph nodules in the textbook described of the lamina propria. But where do we see the bulk of them appearing now? Getting through the muscularis mucosae and now moving into the land of the submucosa. Alright? But they really describe these lymph nodules as a feature of the lamina propria. But we see, do you agree that it's gone? Yeah. So they're bursting through the muscularis mucosae. I only used to ask properly that when I was doing my histology, because the histology books would say, well, this thing is of the lamina propria. Wait, what are we having here now? These things are really described as a feature of the lamina propria. However, as a student, I'd say, but look, I'm always seeing them in where? The submucosa. Alright? Alright, so there you can see the muscularis mucosae right here. And they're disrupted, right? So you see a disruption of the muscularis mucosae right here. And there we see the lymph nodules. In fact, the lymphocytes have literally just infiltrated, just fully nearly packed this villus. Okay? Maybe indicative of some infection around. So we're moving into the land of the ileum. Okay? The ileum, as you know, will have a serosa. The ileum has villi. And as I say, sometimes it's hard to see in a slide whether they're tall or short villi, because you need something comparative to see. But what I'm seeing immediately that you must be seeing is, what do you see as, Eli, what do you see as one of the differences occurring right here? When you look at the lining epithelium. Yes, the goblet cells are now what? Increasing. Okay? So whereas we saw maybe like 3 or 4 along this this row in the duodenum and in the jejunum, now in the ileum, we're now seeing the goblet cells starting now to really come into play. Alright? And when we get into the colon, we'll see this. It could possibly be a lacteal, like a lacteal space. Alright? Possibly. Okay? You see the smooth muscle going up. Okay? So looking very much like everything that we will see for jejunum, we are now roughly seeing here for ileum. Okay? Everything we're roughly seeing for jejunum, we're seeing for ileum. However, what do we encounter? These Peyer's patches. And these Peyer's patches, some books will describe that they're composed of about 240 or so lymph nodules coming together. So you're just seeing at the tip of the iceberg, but about 240 or so nodules come together to form the Peyer's patch. And these Peyer's patches are located on what is referred to as the anti-mesenteric border. Alright? So there's one border that has the mesentery attached. So the mesentery will be attached over to say this side here. That's where the mesentery will be attached. And on the anti-mesenteric border, this is where now we will get the hairs touching. Beautifully seen here as a lymphoid aggregation. Alright? This is a lymphoid. It's beautiful right there, and there we see them, the lymphocytes now just pushing up right into the villus here, and we see the germinal centers, pale germinal centers right there of the lymph nodules. Okay? And note once again the disruption of the muscularis mucosae. Muscularis mucosae here, but then now all disrupted. In the appendix, we will get a confluent ring of lymph nodules, like a necklace of lymph nodules going right around. This is a picture we'll see for the vermiform appendix. And in the vermiform appendix, we're in the land of the large intestine, and therefore there would be no villi. Okay? So we could never confuse it with the appendix. Alright? Now in the exam, I imagine that they would sort of, we would set it something like maybe something like this. Alright? Something like that. Something maybe like this, to show you the discontinuity of the lymphoid, the lymph nodules. Alright? Now, not in all appendices will you see this so-called confluent ring, but theoretically it's described as a complete confluent ring. Alright? But there we see now that these lymph nodules have come to an end here, so we therefore know now that this is the ileum. So the ileum, maybe I would think, duodenum and ileum are two of the most straightforward, and they're giveaway slides in the exam. They are literally giveaway slides in the exam. You shouldn't have any problem in identifying it. What many of you will get messed up with maybe is the stomach. But stomach sometimes is going to confuse you, and you're going to think that that's small intestine. Alright? But watch out for the goblet cells. Goblet cells you won't find.